Okay. So in this video, we'll discuss the building blocks of the IGCSE components. They are how you're marked, basically. It's what you can get your marks on. They are called the assessment objectives. There are 4 of them, which I'll put right over here. So the first one is AO1 record. Record ideas, observations, and insights relevant to the intentions as works progress. AO2 explore. Explore and select appropriate resources, media, materials, techniques, and processes. AO3 develop. Develop ideas through investigation, demonstrating critical understanding. AO4 present. Present a personal and coherent response that realizes intentions and demonstrates an understanding of visual language. By the way, excuse my voice, my nose is blocked. I cannot breathe. So, the assessment objectives that I just read to you, we're going to be discussing each and one of them and how you can score those marks from IGCSE. Hopefully it will be helpful. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I got an A star in art and design. So I hope my grade is enough to convince you to listen to me. So the first assessment objective, which was AO1 record ideas, observations, and insights relevant to intentions as work progress. So over here, I'll be putting up my prep 1 of component 2, and I think that this is the best illustration or representation of AO1 record. So basically what you want to try to do in AO1 record, which is earlier on to the beginning of the preps, you really just want to take pictures. You want to make simple observation studies. So as you can see in my prep, there isn't much complicated compositions or cool looking objects or like lots of colors. I didn't do all of that, but I just focused on making observations relevant to my topic. So my topic was around the table. So I had an idea. I had lots of ideas. And let's say, what can be around the table? Around the table there can be food. So I made, as you can see, lots of food around my prep. So there's cucumbers, there's rice cakes, there's strawberries, cookies, there's Coca-Cola. So and none of them are in compositions, by the way. None of them are like in complicated compositions or whatever. So that's that. And I did try my best to explore a lot of stuff, which is, by the way, AO2, exploring. So I'm sort of trying to combine assessment objectives. So what you should try to focus on during the earlier stages of your preps, you should focus on making observations. And whilst making these observations, you can do things like maybe trying different medias like pencil, charcoal, pen. You can try different techniques with these medias, like for example, hatching, cross hatching, scribbling, stippling. These are all techniques that you can try whilst making observations in the earlier stages of your work. So in the earlier stages of my work, and as you can see in my prep 1, on the top left of my prep 1, there is a long paragraph. I can't really zoom in. Let me try. Hold on. Yep, I can try to read it for you. This is my intention, and as you can see in A01, it says record ideas, observations, and insights relative to intentions. So you want to make your intentions visible. So I did that on my first prep, and I told the examiners what I want to do throughout these preps. So for component 2, I said I decided to approach the topic around a table in a very personal way. I wanted to demonstrate the experience I had with eating disorders. Since food is usually eaten on tables, I wanted to illustrate the experience of eating disorders around a table. In the next preps, I'll explore different mediums and techniques whilst also telling a story. Let it be known that I've healed and I'm doing better. Said that to them, just in case. I wanted to use this as a chance to help others understand my perspective. Bulimia is a disorder that affects a lot of people. Sorry, I could not read it. Like, it's very blurry. So it consists of purges and binges. You'll see different foods from each part. So you'll see different foods that like represent purges and binges. I will also try to illustrate emotions through my work. So that was my intention. I was telling the examiners what I want to do throughout these preps, which were for my component 2. So, like I said, I began with making observations. I also tried to explore as many medias and techniques as early on as possible as well. So now we are going into AO2, which is exploring. Yep, exploring. So explore and select appropriate resources, media, materials, techniques, and processes. So what they want you to do during, say, early center, that's the best way I can describe it. Like, if this is the journey of your preps divided into 4, this is prep 2. It's like the early beginning. This is prep 1, or AO1, sorry. AO1, AO2, AO3, and AO4 should be sort of throughout, but AO1, AO2 is like early on. So AO2, you want to explore a lot. You want to explore everything, basically. You want to explore every single media you can. You want to explore every technique. You want to explore every surface you can draw on. You want to explore. You want to experiment. You want to tell the examiners that I tried this, this, and that, and in the end, I like this. I like this because maybe I found it easier to draw with, or I liked the way the colors looked, or maybe I liked that because of the way the texture feels on the paper. Or you can say I didn't like this because the colors looked very pale and it was a very hard medium to work with. So that's basically exploring. You want to explore as much stuff as you can. So on the screen is my prep 2. As you can see, I started like merging things together, making compositions from the things earlier on in my prep 1, which was just like observations. I started to make different compositions. So you can see that there's a burger with fries. There are cucumbers, strawberries, there are rice cakes, there is that one piece on the top right I really like a lot. It looks so good. It looks even better in person. So during this prep 2, the burger and fries piece was with pencils, just pencils. The junk food piece on the top right was with oil. The greens piece, the cucumbers, the strawberries, and all of that stuff. On the lower left, it was with acrylics. And the other piece with donuts was with soft pastilles. So you can see that I'm literally exploring as much stuff as I can. As much medias and as much as everything. And if you can notice, at the bottom right, I also did an artist study, which is AO3. So you see how I'm like mixing everything together, trying to get as much marks as I can, trying to get everything, every possible mark from every possible work. Try to bring AO3 and AO2 together. Try to bring AO1 and AO2 together. Try to like combine. Okay, so I did that art study about Michael Rousseau, and it was about the piece of the junk food. It looked very similar to his art style. So that's basically it for exploring. All I can say is try to explore as much medias, as much techniques, and as much surfaces. Just experiment with everything. Experiment with everything. Now, AO3. This is, they judge you on how you've developed your idea. So let's say you started, they want to see this basically. They want to see you go from observations to making compositions to further progress with your idea and start, let's say, giving things deeper meanings and putting things in even more complicated compositions and make progress with your techniques, get better at like your quality of work, all of that. They want to see you develop ideas, like they want to see you progress. That is one of like the biggest things. They like the development of idea in IGCSE. Another important thing about AO3, which my old IGCSE art teacher used to say, is that it usually relates to artist studies. Now, I bet you every single YouTube video that you'll ever watch, no matter it's A-level art and design or IGCSE Edexcel or anything related to art and the British curriculum, they'll always say artist studies. Artist studies. Now, I didn't take artist studies very seriously in my component 1, but in my component 2, I definitely did. I made lots of artist studies. I related lots of my pieces to different artists. I took inspiration from lots of artists. It was very fun. Let me show you my prep 3 of component 2, which is, I'll probably put it right here, but I'm looking for it on my computer. Okay, here it is. So this was basically almost 3 of them, from what I can remember, were artist studies. So top right was an artist. Sadly, I don't remember because the annotation was behind the piece. Like you could lift the piece up and like read all of the annotations and stuff. I like doing that a lot for all of my pieces. So the top right piece was an artist. The bottom left piece was actually Picasso. I related that piece to Picasso Blue Period, and the bottom right piece was Andy Warhol. What I did is was like, you see that the blue thing? You could pull it and it would sort of like move like a book. A pull tab is what we would call it. And I really liked that idea. So I made as much artist studies and here, let's make a connection here. I also explored as much media as I can. So I also used oil and acrylic because from my previous prep, I really enjoyed those two. I enjoyed acrylic and oil paint. But I did not limit myself to those 2 types of paint. I also explored gouache, which is the piece in the middle, the top middle. And I also explored watercolor, which is the piece on the top left. So, as you can see, making connections, and I'm also, as you can see, I'm developing my ideas. I'm making very complicated compositions. I started putting myself with the fruits and with the foods, and I started giving, like, for example, for the Picasso piece, I was blue because of this emotion, and the food was this color because of this, and like I started giving it deep, deep meaning. And of course, it was all very personal. So that's AO3 for you. So for AO4, which is presenting, present a personal and coherent response that realizes intentions and demonstrates an understanding of visual language. So I wouldn't say AO4 really applies to a particular prep like the previous assessment objectives, but it applies to the entire project, to the entire coursework. It's the way you present your work. It's how pretty it looks. It's how everything interacts with each other. It's how personal your idea is, and that's me personally. That's what I think really got me to that A star, is that I really made my preps personal. I showed my experiences through the preps, through art, and I really think that helped out. So that's really it for AO4 presenting. It's excuse me, it's presenting your work, it's how personal your idea is, and I guess at the end it's demonstrates an understanding of visual language. I guess you have to use smart words whilst annotating. Annotating, people, annotate. So whilst annotate, you can use the contrast of this color is this, that, and that because of the hue and the tone, and use these words and show that you have an understanding of technical processes. I know this might sound like a lot, but you can get through it once you're doing the preps. You can get through it, I promise you. If I could, you all can. So that's it for presenting. So let me tell you about IGCSE Art and Design in general. Now that we've discussed the 4 assessment objectives, which you will get your marks on, let me just tell you about everything in general. I'll speak in general. So we have component 1 and component 2. I wanted to speak to you all about component 1. So I've been getting lots of messages, and from what I've seen, most of you guys haven't really done much progress in component 1 already. So as you can tell from the specification or the syllabus, it states that for component 1, there has to be 4 sheets of A2 paper. 4 sheets of A2 paper. Now, what I did is that on each sheet, I did 2 preps, because you see on each sheet it's two-sided, right? So I do 1 prep on this side, the other on the other side, and in total it was 8 preps for me, and I then on a different sheet of paper gave my final outcome. So that was component 1. But because of the time restrictions, and of course I'm assuming you all have other subjects to balance, my new art teacher, I love her so much, my art teacher said that she used to work with Cambridge CIE, Art and Design, and for component 1, some of her students would do only 1 prep per sheet. Instead of 2, they would do 1 prep per sheet. So that means there were 4 preps in total. This it still was sufficient enough to get some of her students to good enough grades. Like she said, some of her students got good grades whilst doing this. But let me tell you this, Cambridge does emphasize a lot on quality of work. So if you're doing this in component 1 and it's 1 prep per sheet, I really recommend that you make your work really high quality and make sure that the personal aspect and the idea is there as well, so that maybe it will help you gain more marks. For component 2, it's 2 sheets. Component 2 is 2 sheets of paper. What I did, it was 2 preps on 1 sheet. So like component 1, it was 2 preps on 1 sheet, which means it was 4 preps in total. And like I said, what I did, it got me an A star. So use that as sort of an idea of the workload and the quality you should try to achieve, but don't base your work. Everyone is different. Art is very subjective. Your idea can be really good, like way better than mine, and you can get marks off of that. So just make sure that you're also balancing all of your other subjects whilst doing art. And don't, actually, I was gonna say don't pressure yourself, but pressure yourself. Pressure yourself. You wanna get those preps done before a deadline. You wanna get those preps done before your final exams, because you, trust me, you wanna start revising early. You wanna start revising early for maths, for English, for whatever. So some extra tips from me, like I said, explore as much as you can, experiment as much as you can, try to do lots of artist studies. Oh, and let me show you my final prep 4 for component 2. Let me open it on my screen so I know what I'm talking about. Hold on, give me a few seconds. There you go. So there was one big piece at the top right. Let me scooch over. One big piece at the top right, that was my final outcome. And that was basically the same thing which I did in the 8-hour exam. And it went well. Thankfully, it went well. And yeah, that's basically it. That was my final outcome. You can see how it's very, very, like, I don't know how to describe it, very complicated, very weird composition, ideas clashing together, different colors, weird hair, clocks hanging from hair, portals, whatever was there. Whatever was there. It's very developed. Very developed. That's the word what I was looking for. So that was my prep 4, and what else did I want to say? Keep exploring. Like I said, explore a lot. I keep emphasizing on this. Explore a lot of different medias and techniques. Make sure you also do artist studies. And I remembered. Okay, so make sure that the sheets that you put your work on, like the big sheet that you put all of your work on, make sure it's A2 exactly. Okay, search it up in Google. Let me search it up for you right now. Hold on. A2 size in centimeters. So it's 42 centimeters by 60 centimeters. So that is the official A2 size. You do not want to go over that, trust me. The person who's taking your preps and bringing them to Cambridge, the post person won't accept anything above A2. Like, my old art teacher, she told us that she had students who posted their work on sheets bigger than the A2 size, the official A2 size, and they literally had to bend their work and cut it up so they can fit it. And trust me, you do not want that to happen to you. So please make sure you put your work on actual A2 papers. okay? And another piece of advice, annotations, make sure you annotate properly. I'm gonna make another video on how to annotate properly soon, hopefully. I'll also make another videos on component 1 and component 2 individually. So I'll explain how they both work, I'll explain how you guys can approach them, and for now these are the only things that I have planned, but I really hope that this video helped you guys out and how you should approach your preps and how you should do them. If you have any questions, don't be shy, ask me, I usually answer. But keep in mind, I am an A-level student, so I have got shit to do. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for bearing with me through this. And, yeah, see you later.